And welcome back to another Inside Texas Around the League segment. I'm joined here by Jackson Calloway. He is making his second appearance on the Inside Texas channel. And I'm joined by Dr. Shin, number one fan. Is this a legal camera recording that we've got going on here?
Well, I was lined up. I never actually went off camera, so I was off to the side a bit. It's a legal move I cleared through Cord Samuels before the game. So if Inside Texas wants to put out trying to vacate my appearance here on the podcast, it's not going to work, man. I cleared it through everybody first, man. You can call me a cheater all you want, but I was on the field. I was in camera, slid in just because y'all didn't see me. It seems like you guys need to learn how to count. So
just for clarification purpose, there is no one else in the room with you. You didn't have anybody else that was potentially, coming onto screen.
No substitutions, never planned to substitute. I calmly and slowly just was to the edge of the screen, came back in. No problem whatsoever. So I know Auburn fans should be moving on to Jackson's team, but they still seem kind of stuck on my team. So please take these Auburn fans off my timeline, bro.
I honestly don't know if I can help you with that, Travis, but real quick, what I can help you with is telling you where to subscribe for your Texas football content. Texas football news, the number one place for insider news, in-depth analysis, recruiting scoops. You join right now for $1 and you get a year's access to The Athletic. So jump on that, subscribe to Inside Texas, and like this video, guys, because it's going to be a fun one. Got two fun guests right here. Obviously, this is Travis J. Davison down here. But these guys are, they're undefeated. Oklahoma's going to roll into Red River 5-0. The vibes around Oklahoma obviously have been very, very high. Yesterday, a little bit of air out of the balloon. What's the vibe after the injury news to John Mateer up there, brother?
Well, the initial panic, I think, has worn off a bit. You've got your big Dr. Shin fans, right? A lot of people are very excited. Even had an OU fan show up to the hospital today and drop off an OU pennant as a gift for Dr. Shin. Just crazy stuff. And I think a lot of it, like anything else, dealing with small tragedy, humor is the best way to do it, right? So I think a lot of OU fans are kind of in that realm. And I think a lot of them, honestly, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but some conspiracies occasionally come through, right? I mean, for a guy to play against Auburn, he was injured with 9:22 left in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Broke a bone in his hand. He then went to throw for over 70% completion against a really good defensive line, 1 touchdown, led the game-winning drive, lowered his shoulder, went over the goal line. It seems odd to me that that's an injury he couldn't have gone forward and played with, but I do find it interesting that, hey, look, we can go out and get it when we've got 2 weeks off. I mean, with all respect to, you don't have a Kent State guest coming on later, do you? Okay, I hope not.
I don't think so.
So, with all due respect to Kent State, we don't need Mateer to win that game. So, a lot of people are like, hey, do you think he would get this surgery done if it's going to be a 5 or 6 week thing? Or would he just try and play through it and know that he's missing Texas if he doesn't just go ahead and play through it? I don't know. I think that the conspiracies that he's going to be ready to go in like a week, I'm not ready to go all in on that, but maybe a questionable on the availability report. Because remember, if you shut John down and he is ready to go for some reason, right? Well, you don't have to put him on the injury report for Kent State because there isn't one. It's not an SEC team. So, it's a bummer, but the delusional, hopium, conspiracy side, the humor side has kept things pretty light in Norman, knowing that we're about to be 5-0. So after already one of the only 3 teams in the country that have beaten 2 ranked opponents. Wow.
That's
pretty cool.
That is what it is. Do you have a personal guesstimate, if you will, on when Oklahoma trots John Mateer back out onto the football field?
I don't. I've tried to stay away from the speculation because, like, there was one of your Texas colleagues that put out a tweet about, well, when I was in high school, I injured my hand playing a sport, so that's why I don't think this timeline is only going to be a month or something like that. And I'm like, there's 27 bones in the hand.
Yep.
Those 27 bones can be damaged to infinite degrees, right? So anybody that's speculating, I think it's wildly irresponsible. I think a lot of it's wish casting from both sides. And look, I know a lot of Texas fans are being honest when they say, no, we want to play John Mateer. We want to play John Mateer. The majority of them, I'll say probably, are like, wouldn't it make sense to want to play against the worst player? Like, wouldn't it make – we want to win that game, right? I don't care if their whole starting 11's hurt on offense. Like, that's how most of them feel. Most of them would rather just take a win as easily as they can get it. So, anyway, I don't want to speculate on timeline until after the surgery and something becomes official. But also, if I'm Brent Venables, why the hell would I tell you when the timeline is? Like, what competitive advantage can you gain? Like, why? Because the fans want to know? Because the media wants to know? Who cares? As a fan and member of the media, keep me in the dark, Brent. If you're watching this tonight, keep me in the dark. Like, I don't care. It is better to make opponents try and prepare for two different quarterbacks than to go ahead and put reports out. It does not matter. You've got a rare opportunity to, depending on whatever their health is, list Mateer as questionable for the Texas game. And then, bring him out and have him warm up alongside Michael Hawkins Jr. Who knows? And then just, whoever starts. But I just don't think there's ever any advantage to telling people when he's coming back. And there's zero disadvantage to hiding that.
For me, it's like, you can go a lot of different ways with it. You can rush him back. You can rest him because you trust a really good defense and maybe a Texas offense that hasn't impressed so far. And not to overdo it with the Mateer questions, but I mean, was it his shuffling hand? Was it the hand that he hits with in blackjack? Was it the sorry, I couldn't leave that one off. That's too good of a comment. Definitely I am in the camp that I do hate to see him injured. I don't want to hear, I'm hanging out on Twitter all the time. I don't want to hear your Oklahoma, and it's not going to be Travis. It's going to be, the bottom barrel fans, but they're going to scream at me about how the same way we screamed at Bama fans, if we had John Mateer, we'd have beat you guys. The same way that we hear from some Aggies that, if we had Le'Veon Moss, we'd have scored on the goal line last year and maybe won that game. Old Twitter.
And they might have. They probably would have.
It's reasonable.
That's a reasonable take. But my thing
I guess we'll never know. Sorry.
I get the whole, no, we want to have you your best, but look, let's be honest. This isn't some, gilded team that's coming in at Oklahoma that we really are just cheeks and, we were going to play all these tricks on the country until we got to Texas and you guys were going to smack us around and show us what's up. Like, this is a team, like I said, that has more ranked wins than anybody in the country outside of two teams that have the exact same amount. So it's, all of the people that'll be like, oh man, duck and smoke. Like, Oklahoma has proven more on the football field than Texas has right now. So, like, that's what's funny to me. Texas's defense is absolutely elite. Oklahoma's defense is the only one that is allowing less yards per game in the SEC. Like, both defenses are awesome. So, like, this isn't last year's team that was held together with duct tape and probably should have been a losing team anyways. This is a much better team. So, the oh man, Oklahoma's just a bunch of frauds. We were going to expose them, and then Mateer ducks, so now they have an excuse. Like, simply not the case. Oklahoma is the more proven team up to this date than Texas. And honestly, of the three of us, Texas is the least proven team out of all three of us. So, like, when we start to get into, oh, these frauds, excuses, it's like, not this year. This year, be careful what you wish for.
I mean,
the excuses have been pretty loud for your boy Arch Manning too. Oh, he's hurt.
I mean,
he's hurt. No, he's hurt. That's why he can't throw. That's why he has 12 incompletions in a row. Like, it's that. It's excuses, or is it reasons? Is it because he might not be that great? I don't know. I'll leave it to Texas fans to tell me if Arch is still the generational shoe-in for the Heisman #1 pick. He would have been a #1 pick fresh out of high school if he'd have had his choice. But I'll keep listening to that from the Texas fans.
Let me say this: in my opinion, the first rumor I saw of Arch being hurt, from the same exact spot that you just referenced, the month-long plus timeline for him to be back. Those were from the same spot, and neither of that is not inside Texas representatives. We have not been saying Arch is hurt, and I've been trying to scream at people, don't cope for the kid. Like, he's been playing bad. It would be a lot easier if Arch Manning was hurt to say, yeah, okay, we're going to be a lot better down the line. But when you know that he's healthy and it looks the way that it looks, you don't have that same confidence. And so, but back to Mateer, I want John to play because we're going to clamp Oklahoma. So whether it's Johnny Mateer or it's Michael Hawkins, I think that it's going to be a low-scoring football game, and Oklahoma's going to clamp us up. And I don't think that it's an auto Texas win if we see Michael Hawkins, but I don't think that the ground games are good enough from either side for us to see the fireworks that we've seen, inside the Cotton Bowl for the old Red River in the past. Either way, low-scoring defensive battle in my mind. So
punts, you can't turn the ball over, can't miss your kicks.
Both punters are great.
Punts, can't get blocked.
Kick. Right.
Can't
I need you to perform
like the Ohio State game. Like, penalties are really what did Texas in, right? Bad penalty extends an Ohio State drive, stuff like that. You just have to play clean. You've got to understand that you're in it for a long day. This is going to be an old Iowa Northwestern score where it's like 7-3 and, a couple people barely past the 50, but you've got to just take care of the stuff around it. You don't count on either offense to go and put 40 up. Just take care of the margins and you'll be all right.
You can't turn the football over, like you say. You can't have penalties, which we've been awful on the offensive line with, which is another reason why I think Oklahoma, obviously matches up really well with our offense. But as far as ability to create explosive plays, I kind of like Texas's a little bit more than Oklahoma's. And then this is before the news with, Johnny. But again, I want him to be healthy. I like when Oklahoma's good at football because I think I hate to be one of those guys, but there's a certain handful of schools or maybe more that I just think the sport's a little bit better when they're relevant. And yeah, I'm throwing my school in there too. So call me what you will for that. But there's plenty of other schools for me that, it's just, I like the second Saturday in October to mean something. You know what I mean? 2022 was fun. 2024 was great. But y'all scoring a combined 3 points and like me not caring about the game to the point I'm having fun elsewhere. I'm not leaving the stadium. I think you know where I'm going, but like I'm having a really good time and not like dialed in and wanting to live or die on every single play. Like that's Texas OU. I need that to be the case every now and then. I mean, it was fun those 2 years.
I mean, yeah, OU Texas. First of all, it's it's alphabetical. But when people talk about there are certain teams where the sport's better when they're good. I'm not sure. Jackson, has anybody ever said that about Texas A&M?
I would.
No.
Does my opinion matter? I mean, I think we're up there. Come on now.
We haven't let Jackson get in a word here. We will talk about the Aggies and Auburn here in just a moment. But I mean, Jax, what are your takes? Auburn, Oklahoma, obviously a big win for OU. They did what they had to do. Bring up the controversies, if you will. But either way, I mean, it was a pretty dang good football game, back and forth. A couple lead changes there late. So, what were your takes from that one?
Yeah, I mean, looking at Oklahoma, it's a night and day difference, especially offensively. But I think what I continue to come back to is the defense looks incredible. Like I love the defense in Norman. I think they have so much talent. I think it's a complete wrecking crew. A&M calls their defense that, but I think Oklahoma is a great example of what that is. I think they have a lot of versatility. I'm not sure. Robert Spears-Jennings is a guy that I really like. He's kind of been banged up to start the season, I believe, but that's one guy that when he's fully healthy, you can play him at safety, but you also bring him down into the box, play him like you can anybody else, and he's a very effective guy. The offense is very exciting. Deion Burks, obviously, you kind of get to see him in full action. I love the addition of Sategna. Curious about the run game with how that's going to go, especially with no Mateer. But I like Oklahoma this year.
I mean, that defense is pretty ferocious, man, especially in my opinion, that front seven. Hey, it's hard not to think that, that Auburn left some points on the board. But again, Oklahoma plays an aggressive style of football. They're putting pressure on Jackson Arnold. So, the easy throws, some of those, in my opinion, have to be made. But They weren't.
I never
Oklahoma
thought
was
I
the
would be
game.
on an Inside Texas podcast watching Texas fans make excuses for Jackson Arnold.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive, man. Yeah. Shoulda, coulda, yeah. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, I guess. Yeah. Should have won by a ton if the players played better and made plays. Yeah. No football game has ever been described like that before.
And the offensive line for Auburn too, like what really shocked me is that's a really good unit. It's the best unit that Auburn's had at that position in a long time. And I'm on the side. Sure. It's the side. I'm on the side that it's a good team, but Oklahoma's defensive line is just that great. And obviously, you can factor in the fact that Jackson Arnold probably created some of those by himself. But the disruption that the OU defensive line was able to create on that line, I was completely shocked by that.
Well, one of the knocks at Oklahoma is he held onto the ball too long and then occasionally dropped the ball a lot. That was another problem that he had. But, yeah, I think with Oklahoma's defensive line, I mean, and then R. Mason Thomas comes back in the second half and it's just like, oh, hey, I'm here. I'm going to be in your ear hole. So, but anyways, with the coolest part about that game to me was when reportedly, according to one of the other defensive linemen, that on that last play, that 4th and 29 or whatever, they were all supposed to kind of like almost like just back off and like spy kind of. And R. Mason Thomas was like, hey, you guys take this off. I'm going to go get him. And just blew through their right tackle and their running back and just ended the game in the end zone. I was like, that is crazy. R. Mason Thomas, if he was there for the whole game, again, who knows what it looks like. But I don't play in the if world. I play in the what happened world. And the what happened world is that Oklahoma won the football game. So,
and I hate to see it, but that clip is cool of R. Mason is literally one on. I mean, he only has to go through like 2 guys, but I mean, it's just one guy truly rushing the passer there, and the play lasts for about 2 and maybe 3/4 seconds. We'll get into a little bit more about the SEC and around the league, but first let's hear a word from our sponsor, David McClellan.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
All right, guys, hit up David if needed. Moving on from Oklahoma, I do want to hear your opinions on the University of Florida and the Billy Napier situation, kind of just what you might do there. Way too much talent on that football team, in my opinion, to have this type of start again. I know that they kind of somewhat corrected things late last year, so maybe they're hanging their hat on that. But then, where do they go from there? You're going to see recruiting stuff for a little bit. But, yeah, the offense and just how mundane it looks, I think is pretty shocking to everybody. Obviously, Texas hasn't been an offense that has wowed people, and neither is, LSU. And so you look at a couple of these SEC offenses that people thought had the higher ceilings, the most explosive. You've seen them struggle. But in regard to Florida, whoever wants that first, what are you thinking over there, and what would you do in regards to Billy Napier today?
For me, it always comes back to me looking even back to last year and even coming into this year. I think that you kind of saw something from Lagway. You continue to see the sparks and what he could be, but it always just comes back to very coachable things with him that I think has put them in this spot. And I think if Napier was going to make it out of this, and obviously it's a tough schedule, there's no sugarcoating that. But if he wanted to make it out of this, you have to keep Lagway, but not just keep him and develop him. And it kind of feels like they put so much on him early, and they weren't able to get the development that I think they wanted over the course of the offseason. And it feels confusing to me when I watch these games back, especially offensively, where you have a really good running back in Ball, and you're just not giving him the ball. You're not giving him the ball enough. I think, when we make these decisions about what would you do with a coach, X, Y, or Z, it can sometimes be glossed over by the play, but I think a lot of it is really this is just pure coaching. And if it's me, I don't know what the buyout is or whatever it may be, especially for that entire staff. But if you're Florida, you're looking at the recruiting classes. They're not great. I think they're 13th in the country, and they have I think they're at 15, 16 commits. I just don't see much going for them. I really don't.
My favorite thing is that the Aggie guy was like, I don't know what the buyout is. Yeah, of course you don't. What's a buyout?
We don't care over here. Buyout, it's just a number, man.
That's Aggie talk right there. That's buyout. Man, got to be less than what we paid. So, anyways, I think with Florida, it's I think there's this strange obsession with we need the next Cam Newton type vibe. We need the next guy. So you see it with Anthony Richardson, and you see it with Joe Milton. You see it with guys that are this guy can throw the ball 80 yards. Okay, cool. Can he throw it to his own players more often, please? Can he do that's part of my issue. And you see it the prototypical quarterback, right? You see a lot of guys. We got a guy on our roster right now that's our third string guy that looks, when he gets off the bus, you're like, man, that's the quarterback, right? It's no, that's third string. There's so much more to playing quarterback, right? You look at guys like Johnny Manziel. You look at guys like Colt McCoy. You look at guys like Baker Mayfield. These are not the big physical prototypical specimens that are, hitting the crossbar from 90 yards out. It's not who they are, but they won a lot of football games, right? You have to be able to throw the ball. You have to be able to understand your offense. You have to be able to play within your system, and you can't put the ball in harm's way. There's one thing to be a gambler, if you will, another John Mateer thing. He does put the ball in danger every once in a while, but that's as far as his gambling goes, as far as I know. But the rest of it is you can't just make ill-advised throws. And so many times, I'm thinking back to that 5 interception game that DJ Lagway had, and it was oh my God, honestly, the LSU offense didn't do anything for the most part, and the Florida defense, fought their tail off, and there's no way that you only score 20 points with 5 interceptions. That's crazy to me. That's outstanding for the Florida defense, really. And conversely, it's hard to score 10 points if your quarterback throws 5 interceptions. So it's just weird to me that you've got these offenses in Florida and in LSU, like you guys brought up, that aren't developing their quarterbacks. Nussmeier on everybody's list, and Lagway, we're with them and Sellers, we're supposed to be the top 3 quarterbacks in the country. And it's what are we doing? We're seeing the defenses lead these teams, and then Brian Kelly comes out and makes a statement. Well, I tell Sloan to manage the game. He's calling the game as I ask him to call it. And it's yo, what? You're asking to be a game manager with Garrett Nussmeier? That dude's awesome. What are we talking about right here? And with Lagway, it's you're right. The development, it really feels like there are a lot of coaches that are in above their head right now in the NIL era, and they'll say, "Oh, I need more money for players. I need more money for players," and then they lose to teams that don't have as much money as them. And it's what's your excuse? I'm sorry, I like South Florida as much as anybody. There is no chance Florida should ever lose to South Florida. I'm sorry. With the funding, with the talent, with the coaches, in the hiring pool you have for coaches, things like that. I'm sorry, you should never lose that football game.
Yeah, that's not Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, or Texas and Texas Tech or A&M and Baylor.
No.
That whole different proportion of a beating.
Exactly. I mean, you look at, Florida's got a ton of talent, the state. I totally get it, but now you've got, UCF is now a Power 4 team, right? Miami is playing lights out, right? Recruiting well. Florida State playing extremely well. Obviously, big win against Bama to start the year. Florida, you can't be left behind by those two, especially as rivals. You sure as hell can't be left behind by South Florida. There's just it's crazy because Lagway is super talented, but it's the image of the Bugatti at the trailer park. That's what it is, and nobody at the trailer park knows how to drive the Bugatti. That's the thing. That's the frustrating thing.
You got a couple pit bulls surrounding the Bugatti, and that's just the defense. But you can't cover all angles, and at some point they get tired of chasing. And
it's just like Oklahoma last year. Jackson Arnold kept on giving the ball away.
Exactly that.
Our defense was good last year,
and you saw them play a really good defensive game against Miami until the very end, when your will concedes at times, man, in this sport, and it's tough. And all of a sudden, those 2 or 3 yard runs turn into 6 or 7 yard runs, and all of a sudden you've given up a drive. I mean, the defensive line in the secondary, are really, really strong in my opinion. I think they're okay, just okay at linebacker. But I mean, Ron Roberts calls hell of a game, so he knows what he's doing. He hasn't lost, the defensive room yet. But it's a matter for me of like, how long does that all stay together? He's a hell of a DC. So I do think
when you start taking risks, like that's part of it as well. Like not only like you hit the nail on the head as far as you're giving up 2 and 3 yards. Now you're giving up 4 and 5. But once you start to feel like I can't trust the offense to score, we have to go do something. Then you start pressing. Then you start biting on every double move. Then you start busting. Then you start trying to, run blitz, and you're hitting the wrong hole. Like it's just everything goes bad whenever you lose complete trust in your offense. And Florida is dangerously close to doing that, losing all trust in the offense to score.
Yes, it's not just, hey, let's stop this football team now. It's like, hey, we definitely have to flip field position to give our offense even a prayer of putting any points on the board. Yeah. Or, hey, we have to force a turnover. Maybe in Florida right now, their best bet of scoring might be on the defensive side of the football, which, and that's not even trolling. It's just how bad they've been offensively. And again, I think LSU is similar fashion as far as what we're thinking, similar fashion as you, Travis. Like, how the hell are we game managing Garrett Nussmeier, Caden Durham, the Andersons, Barrion Brown, Bauer, what are we doing there? Like, game, what are you talking about? You have a defense that should allow you to take some risk. Like, you're allowed in the playoff era. LSU loses 2 games with that schedule. Or anybody questioning that they should get in? No, they're going to get in. It's like, reach the upside of the offense. Find out what your ceiling is. You know what I mean?
You have to pick one. You can the Joe Burrow team. That was the last time that they were top 20 in like SP plus defensively, 2019. So I get that Brian Kelly's trying to right some wrongs on the defensive side of the ball, but that team was top 20 in defense and like top 1 or 2 in offense that year. So it's like it's okay to be great on both sides of the ball. I promise you. Like let Garrett cook. Like let Caden Durham run the ball. Like stop trying to manage to make sure to protect your defense. Like your defense is going to be really good no matter what, as long as Whit Weeks can, not be distracted. But like, I don't understand having Nussmeier and being like, we're going to let this defense cook. It's like, all right, well then have him transfer somewhere else so we can watch this kid play football.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly right, man. It's just like you just said, you don't have to pick one. You have a Les Miles defense. You don't have to have a Les Miles offense to go with that. You know what I mean? Like we saw LSU have putrid offenses and really, really good defenses for quite a while and still win titles. You know what I mean? So I understand maybe Brian Kelly looks back at like a Matty Mock and teams in 2007, that offense won a title, good ground game. But again, like you just said, like they just, in my opinion, have one of the greatest college teams ever, one of the greatest college seasons ever. And not saying they could replicate that, but I mean, like, it could be a baby version, you know what I mean? As far as, because they have a better defense than they had that year in 2019, in my opinion. And the offense, it's obviously nowhere in the same league right now at all. But I mean, we'll see what they do. You got to let the bird fly, right? All right. Anything else from last weekend in the SEC that you gentlemen want to cover, or any other hot topics before we start previewing a couple big games? So many big games across the SEC this weekend.
Rip Gundy, man. Rip Gundy.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. That hurts. I'm not even going to lie to you. It's a tough situation because he chose the Pine Box, and Oklahoma State did what they had to do. Losing to Tulsa at home, that's going to do it. I mean, they got dominated for most of that football game. I mean, I shared on Twitter, I was of the opinion that, he should have chose when he exited. And I think that he did choose when he exited. So I think they told him, like, this is your last chance to go ahead and resign here. But again, I'm not super dialed in on what's happened in that situation. Travis, you might know a little bit more. You're not too far down the road.
The thing is, like, I think Gundy got bad advice. I think Gundy, he's had this shtick for a long time where he's very vocal about hating the current state of college sports. Like hating the portal, hating NIL, hating dealing with agents, we get it. Here's the thing. Nobody likes it. Like not a single, if you just walked up to a college football fan on the street and be like, hey, are you happy that, this 17-year-old's getting paid $5 million before we know what he can do or anything like that. And he's, this, that, and the other. Like, I'm all about everybody getting their money. But as far as football fans go, like, they don't like it. Like, they don't like the portal. They don't like not being able to know the kids' names on the team before they leave. They don't want to learn like, back in the day, people growing up were like, hey, we don't even cover recruiting. I look at the roster and see who the freshmen are and just, oh, that guy's tall, or that guy, man, he's heavy, man. I hope he's D-line. Like that's how football used to be cheered on by fans. So, Gundy has long been like, well, Oregon's got all this money, and all these. Part of the problem is Gundy stopped schmoozing the donors. Not that he was ever really into it, but as he got older and got more established as the face of Oklahoma State, he just, kind of, didn't keep up appearances, didn't go to events, didn't go the extra mile that a lot of these coaches, it's their number one job now. Go fundraise. Like AD's job, go fundraise. Like you need to at least be friendly with the donors. So I know of multiple OSU donors that are big donors as far as I'm concerned, like that decided they were never going to give another penny to Gundy a couple years ago because they were just like, we're over him. We're over his rants about, the current state of the game. Everybody else has adapted. Like Montana State kept it closer with Oregon than Oklahoma State did. You know the last time Oklahoma State got beat as badly as they did by Oregon? Remember, just guess the year that they had a losing margin that bad.
1997.
Yeah, before I was born.
6.
Before Oklahoma was a state.
Christ.
A week before statehood. So, like, historic failures for OSU football. They hadn't lost to Tulsa at home since 1951. Like, there are a lot of other coaches that were there and didn't let that happen on their watch. So, I just don't get what Gundy thought was going to happen, because people say, "Oh, you can't fire the best coach in your school history. You can't fire him. You can't put him out like that. You can't do." Look, your best coach in school history chip, that chip that you have in your pocket, you had to cash that in when you went 0-9 in conference play in a conference that did not include OU or Texas. You had to cash that chip in then. Well, guess
Texas
what?
or OU, buddy.
When you blow out or get blown out by Oregon and then get beat by Tulsa, again, the proper Oregon-Tulsa, just like every O and T combination should be, you got to go. Like, you're out of chips at that point. And they gave you an opportunity to walk away gracefully last year. You didn't take it. You were basically on probation. And Oklahoma State is underdogs this weekend by 21 points against not a fantastic Baylor team. And then you're not favored in a Big 12 game the rest of the year. You could be staring down 2 straight 0-9 Big 12 seasons with no P4 wins because you lost to Tulsa. So your last P4 win could have been to start your 2024 season. That's insane. He's got to go. So I wish him the best. He's a legend. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame, but you only get so many lives, and he ran out of his lives.
I have a love for the guy, but I definitely understand why it ended how it did. You can't make all those rants. You have to adapt or die, and especially in this era, this is the most overturned, biggest change, whatever you'll say about college football. I mean, it's just crazy sport where it was 7 years ago compared to where it is now, or 6 years ago even. But big fan of the guy. We'll see if he coaches again. I think that'll be interesting. I'd rather see him on TV. But I do have a hot take about Oklahoma State this weekend. You ready, Trav? Oklahoma State and Baylor. The Pokes break 20 points. They're not winning the damn game. But I do think that they do score 20 points. I don't know if you watch that offense, but that is, in my opinion, actually a hot take. They're really, really bad. We're going to preview some games across the SEC this weekend, but first, let's hear a word from Luxe Kitchen and Bath.
Are you ready to love your kitchen and bathroom again? Luxe Kitchen and Bath will bring that to life. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring your dream vision to life. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team also provides full home remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today, or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get your free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE, or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Contact info is in the description.
There we go, man. All right, Jax. Aggies hosting the Auburn Tigers that Travis just beat. Talk about a hell of a turnaround for Auburn. Hugh Freeze go on the road to Norman, go on the road to College Station. A&M coming off a bye week, but still, I can sense the anxiety. I can feel the nervousness. A&M feels good about the game, but I told you off screen this is a spot where in the past, that Aggie balloon has been deflated a little bit. I got to stop using that reference. That's twice today. But talk to me, Jax. How are we feeling about Auburn as they come to town? I think Aggie is favored by, about a touchdown? Is it 6.5, or is it moved at all?
I think it's about there. If not, I think it may have moved to 7.5, but I'm not completely sure on that. But going into it, man, it's one of those things I think, and as you said, this is an A&M game where they normally coming off a little bit of a high, kind of go into a bye week, get a little relaxed, start talking them up a little bit, and then they go out and do what we do. However, this is a game where I think A&M I think they match up well. I think that the Auburn offense, they don't turn the ball over much, but I think when it comes to what is a good time for the defense to wake up, I think this is a great time. I think Cassius Howell is going to have an impact in this game. I think Des Ricks continues to do really well. Then get a good performance out of Will Lee, who's had a little bit of a slow start to the season. Where you're there, because you need somebody to be able to cover Cam Coleman, because it's not like it's just him. They have multiple weapons on this offense. And I think when the game is over, I think it's going to be dictated by how well was A&M able to move the ball, and what's the time of possession look like? Because I think for A&M, this is a week where after, Notre Dame going to a bye, we have Le'Veon Moss starting to get 100%. This is a game where you're facing a really good run defense. And we can talk about the pass defense because, as we said, Mateer working with one hand and still threw for 300, I think it was. I think that this is a game that matches up well for A&M. But I think it comes down to, can A&M get out of their own way? And we kind of look at it, and I think looking at the stats in the last few games are kind of misleading, especially in the Notre Dame game, because A&M's offensive line, really, really talented veteran group, they keep getting these pre-snap penalties that bring the Aggies into obvious passing downs and put the passing game in a really tough spot, especially when you're still trying to work Le'Veon Moss back to full speed, when you still are working these running backs a really talented room to be what you want them to be. You need to get out of your own way. You have to put yourself in a good spot on first and second down. And I think you have to take advantage of things. I think Mario Craver obviously is the headliner for A&M right now, but I still think Casey Concepcion is the most impactful player on this offense. I think there's a reason Mario Craver is being able to have all this production, because Casey Concepcion, I think coaches are they know if you allow him to get space and you allow him to get going early on in the game, you're in for a long day, especially now that you have Mario Craver on the other side of him.
Well, yeah, and another thing about that game with Notre Dame, Craver has obviously a much bigger game than KC does. But, I mean, you look at who's matched up with them, 80+% of those reps, and Mr. Moore is going to be a guy that I think probably goes day one of the NFL draft, and then you have a guy on the other side who first few weeks has given up a lot of yards. And so, I can't sit there and say I said coming into the season that I thought Craver was a bigger addition. I want to be right, but I'm definitely not going to sit here and say that I am right yet. I did love to see Mario have a big game, even if it is in maroon and white. I've been a fan of that kid since he was in high school, so can't hate him for the school that he's at. But yeah, I mean, overall, man, a ball control offense for Auburn. It seems like, they want to move the football, play little field positions. They trust their defensive line. They trust the front seven to win on first and second downs. And then, they can send them after you on third downs. I don't love the secondary. I will say that I think they did a little bit better against Oklahoma than I anticipated, though. So I can't sit there and say it's still early and it's just one game. But at the same time, I know that there is one cornerback is out for Auburn this week.
Yeah, and I think they released the reports here a little bit ago. I think they also had somebody else listed as out as well, and they just lost their third receiver as well, which is big. But I think again, it's going to come down to the pre-snap penalties, and it's also like Marcel Reed has been really good this year, but he left, and we talked about KC. He left a lot of yards on the field against Notre Dame. Like that was a 300-yard. It could have easily been 400 plus. I think you missed Amari on a 40-yard gain. Casey Concepcion in the first drive had 2 passes that probably would have totaled to at least 60 plus. So if they can finish those plays, like they're in a really good spot.
I agree with you, man. I mean, and again, I think the turnaround is going to be massively difficult for Auburn. It's a team that I don't know if they're playing woe is me. It kind of seems we know the fan base is because of some of the calls that happened in Norman on Saturday. But at the same time, Jackson Arnold hits a couple of wide open receivers. Cam Coleman on a double move. Those calls probably aren't being talked about quite as much. Do I expect the same attitude from their football team? Like, absolutely not. Like, I think they show up pretty pissed off, ready to roll. But again, A&M off a bye week. This is a spot for Mike Elko, Texas A&M, to prove that, like, hey, it is a little bit different under. It's going to be a little bit different of a program, and so would I like to see A&M kind of fold up in this moment? Yeah, of course I would. I think it'd be really fun. The timeline would be beautiful afterwards.
It's an exciting one.
I don't expect it to happen. I've got A&M I think A&M wins by 2 scores. I don't think Auburn, lays down or anything in this game. I think that they overall will play well, but I really like the opportunity for A&M off a bye week. Trav, what are your thoughts? You think Auburn can stand up? I mean, I know you probably want Auburn to win this game overall, just because I doubt there's any love lost between you and A&M. But again, it makes your win look a little bit better if Auburn follows that loss up with a win at Kyle Field.
Well, here's the thing. That's some Big 12 thinking right there, Mr. Samuels. We don't need teams that we beat or lose. We don't need anybody to go out and look good afterwards because our schedule, the entire thing is ranked. So it's
worry about yourself.
It's like, hey, like as long as you take care of your business, like honestly, I wouldn't mind. Auburn's got the loss now. The reason I would want them to beat A&M is to churn down those SEC standings a little bit. Kind of muddy those up. If I see an SEC unbeaten, I'm gonna try and make sure they get brought down. But it's not to make us look better, make our win look better. Here's the thing: you said they don't turn the ball over. I promise you, a Jackson Arnold turnover game's coming. I promise you. He hit 3 of our defensive backs in the hand. Well, 1 of our linebackers and 2 of our defensive backs in the hands, and there's a reason they play defense and not receiver. So it's coming. I know it's coming. And I'm not wishing ill will on him. I did think it was a little weird that he walked off smiling, going, "You wish you were me," to one of the OU fans. Could you imagine? Like, what would either of you do? Say in the Thanksgiving game, right? You guys heated rivals, families divided, towns divided, all this. What would happen if A&M won and Arch Manning left the field with a big old smile on his face after getting beat and getting drove into the ground in the last possession 4 times in a row? Like, what would you respond if Arch just looked up at one of the A&M fans smiling and said, "You wish you were me"? And conversely, Jackson, what would you say if Marcel Reed, after getting pile driven into the turf 4 times in a row and not leading your team to victory, watching the other quarterback do it, walking around with a smile going, "Yeah, you wish you were me"? I wouldn't feel very good about it. So Jackson has always kind of been like that, kind of too cool for school. He's the guy, everybody wants to be him, this, that, and the other. But, yeah, it's coming. The bad turnover game's coming. I think that – so the game plan was very easy. It was make the corners tackle. They haven't been good tacklers. Secondary hasn't been good at tackling. Their defensive line, very good for Auburn, specifically on the edges, right? So what Oklahoma's game plan was to pepper the middle of the field because those linebackers come down and run support so much. Like, the middle of the field is wide open. I think Terry Bussey and Mario Craver both are going to have huge days because those crossing routes and those yards after the catch, it's going to be, I mean, similar to what Mario was doing at Notre Dame, right? Those yards after the catch were insane. And I'm a big Mario Craver fan, covered him 7-on-7. OU was after him a little bit, got to know him then. And, yeah, I think that kid's the truth. Obviously, Terry Bussey's speed, I mean, is elite. So I think that you'll see a lot of similarities to Oklahoma's game plan in this. Obviously, you can run the ball a little bit better, which means they'll sell out even harder to protect the interior of that defensive line with safety help, with linebacker help, what of it. And I think the middle of the field is going to be open again if Marcel Reed wants to take it. So I like A&M in this game. I think that Auburn's a good team. I think they'll win some games this year. Even last year with Peyton Thorne, like they were one of a handful of teams that were top 40 in yards per play on offense and yards per play on defense, and they went 5-7 because they were dead last in lost turnovers. Like to Jackson's point, like if they can not turn the ball over, then this is a good football team. Like that football team from a year ago, if you just match where they were in their, if you just look at like their yards per play margins, like that's a top 25 team, like maybe a top 20 team. Like they should win 8 or 9 games, but they won 5 because they couldn't hold on to the ball. And they were 132nd, I believe, in FBS in red zone efficiency. So they've cleaned both of those things up. They're 100% in the red zone right now, obviously tied for first. Can't go above that. And then they haven't turned the ball over. So either they fixed it or the dam's about to break.
I don't want to see Colin Klein fall into that ball control type game trap. I want to see him, if I was an Aggie per se, I would want to see him push the ball on first and second down for that reason that you said, Travis. I think they are very susceptible to some big chunk plays in the secondary. And with A&M having an offensive line that they do and Le'Veon Moss, again, getting healthier and healthier, Auburn has to pay attention to that ground game because obviously you can tie in Marcel Reed's legs into that as well. So it does make A&M difficult to defend. Again, if I'm Colin Klein, I'm pushing the football a little bit early on, seeing if Auburn can hold up back there, and then really making Auburn, second guess as far as play calling. Because A&M again should be very versatile, should be able to do a lot of things between the tackles, outside the tackle box, and then again through the air. So I think Auburn shows up pretty pissed off, but as long as they don't, via turnovers, bad special teams play, or something, some coverage bust or something, which again is possible with Auburn's receivers, man. Like they are dogs. But again, let's see how healthy Singleton is. Coleman looked his usual self, but if Auburn doesn't jump out on top, it's going to be really hard for me to have them winning this game. So again, A&M by 2 scores. Let's talk about the Landry Kiffin Bowl. You got LSU, Ole Miss, in the Grove, and it's going to be, I can't even imagine being at that game. Like that is an underrated rivalry, in my opinion. It, obviously dating back to the SEC West. Everyone talks Bama, LSU, LSU, Florida. Like their rivalry with Ole Miss is, for me, I like it as much as any LSU rivalry there is, because the games are always wild, especially now that you tied Lane Kiffin into that. But I was a bit surprised to see Ole Miss favored at home. But man, with the way that QB2 has been playing, it's kind of hard not to love that offense. And obviously, I think their front seven is pretty dang good as well. Jax, what are you thinking, Tigers and Rebs?
I've been saying this a little bit, but I'm again, like we talked about it earlier a little bit. I'm really confused with this LSU offense. It doesn't make sense to me. They have talent everywhere. It's just not a productive unit for whatever reason. Or it doesn't feel like they're not as productive as they should be. The O-line's interesting. Caden Durham not having a bigger season than he's had to this point is kind of crazy to me as well. I don't think they're highly ranked in the run game much. They have weapons on the outside as talented as most. And so again, I think LSU is the more talented team, but Lane Kiffin just always finds a way to win one of these a year. He always finds a way to lose one of these a year as well. But this kind of feels like a game where early, after all of this off the field stuff with Brian Kelly and the game against Florida, where they're not scoring as much as they should after 5 interceptions. They scored 20 points on 5 interceptions. I just keep coming back to the fact that I really like what I see from Ole Miss. I mean, there's been development at every single position on the field for them, I think. You have a really good staff there. I like Ole Miss.
I mean, Kawan's looked really dang good in the backfield, man. Obviously, the scheme itself is a challenge in defending. You know, they're going to hit you with verticals, they're going to hit you with tempo, they're going to run, you know, make you defend all 53 yards of the field in the screen game. I love Lane Kiffin. I know he's a bit of a character, and so I like Ole Miss here as well. On initial impression, it's not going to be easy. Look at the way the last two games ended. It's probably going to be similar. Trav, what about you, Bubba?
Well, you know, Lincoln Riley's or not Lincoln Riley. He's also on my list right now. But Lane Kiffin, not shocking. I get those two mixed up in my head every once in a while. But with Kiffin, he came out. Somebody asked him about having Oklahoma, or you know, what he thought of the new schedule and having the 3 permanent opponents, and he's like, "Well, Oklahoma." Like he real derogatory about Oklahoma. I'm like, he's like, "We don't have anything in common." Yeah, Lane, the trophy case. Like, get out of here with no, nothing in common. Bro, stop it. Like, stop it. You've never won anything. Like, you're up for every major job, and your agent does a great job, but you were born on third. You've never done anything as a head coach. Not saying Brent Venables has either, but, like, you put a little bass in your voice when you start, talking about having Oklahoma every year and not, oh, man, I'm disappointed for our fans. Like, yo, chill. But anyways, I do think he wins this football game. That being said,
I think that was hilarious, but I don't think what he said was that bad. Really? Was it that derogatory?
His tone was derogatory. Like,
okay.
Oklahoma isn't to the level of being an annual opponent to the great Ole Miss football program. Like, all right, whatever, buddy. But I also thought Ole Miss was a shock of those. I wanted our three to be Texas, obviously, and then Arkansas and LSU. Arkansas covers the proximity, the regionality. It's the closest campus to Norman. It kind of replaces Oklahoma State as that kind of local rival. And I wanted LSU because I've really enjoyed my trips to Baton Rouge, and I really like Cajun food. And they don't have a rival for that, like, rivalry week. Like, obviously, you guys play that week. We play our main rival in the State Fair in October. So it's like, you want two programs, you can just set up two programs to play every Thanksgiving. OU and LSU was right there in front of you. Like, odds are one of those teams is going to be playing for stakes every year. Like, odds are both teams will every year. But I digress. This football game, I don't think even it's a game management situation. I don't think that it's with the offense, as you were touching on, Jackson. Like, I don't think something's just wrong with it. There's something wrong. It's not planned. This offense had 10 first downs against Florida. Florida had 23. Like, they were 4 of 14 on third down. And when Brian Kelly's asked about it, he almost comes out and starts swinging at the reporter. Like, it was like, when people act like that in press conferences, you touched a nerve. And anytime any coach wants to make it about the kids, speaking of Gundy, come after me. I'm 40, So, like, anytime they start to try and, like, make it all about the kids, like, you've touched a nerve. Like, yes, you do want to celebrate, your student athletes winning a football game. But to then turn around and totally write off and blow off the reporter that asks you, why are you 4 of 14 on third? Like, why are you bad on third down? Like, why can't you run the ball like we thought you were going to be able to run the ball? Why is Gary Nussmeier not lighting it up? Like, what's wrong with this? And he just wants to go on a tirade. I think they got trouble in LSU with that offense. I don't know how they're going to figure it out, but I think Ole Miss gets away with the victory. And that's the thing. You said with QB2, I don't even know who QB1 is after that game. I mean, they both look good.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
Good problem to have, I suppose.
Yeah. I think they both handle the system really, really dang well. I was so high on Austin Simmons coming into the season, and it's like you see the other kid play, and it's like, I'm still high on Austin Simmons, but I might be higher on this guy, and so
right.
I think they're more explosive, whoever the heck's out there, either guy, than LSU has been. I think the ground game is more dangerous than LSU's. I think their offensive line is better than LSU's. Play calling has been better than LSU's. Quarterback play. I mean, it's like LSU just they don't do anything great right now on that side of the football. 10 first downs is atrocious. I don't think that they have a great offensive line, especially between the guards and center. obviously you have a massive loss at tackle last year, and they're happy with the way that he's holding up. But across the board, it's not an impressive group. And yes, I know who I root for and who I cover, and I understand that we have not been super impressive. And let me tell you, we probably won't be super impressive down the line, but it'll get a little better. All right, hang in there. But let me tell you, man, I just can't buy LSU on the road. Even with that defense being as good as it is, Ole Miss is going to take their shots and they're going to hit a few. And as long as they just don't turn the ball over 3 or 4 times, that LSU offense isn't scary. So
I agree.
Jackson, pick another game in the SEC that you would like to talk about. There's a couple other good ones, so I want to see which one you prefer.
For me, this weekend, I'm very curious to see, not just because it has a little, obviously, Bama, Georgia, it means a lot to everybody. I mean, it's a good game every year. Similar results, it feels like every year, but it's very interesting to me this year because I feel like we're in a weird time right now to where it feels like both those programs, and it may just be me, are kind of on a downtrend, just ever so slightly. And whether that be because of the quarterback play, Ty Simpson's looked a lot better since FSU. So I think there's a lot of credit to go there. I think they look like a completely different team. They get JMO back. I think 2 very talented teams, 2 really good defenses that I like. There's a lot of pieces on both. It's just a game this year that's very intriguing to me. I think just looking at the teams and kind of the perception in the public now with them, this year it kind of feels like, and I don't think this is going to be the case at all, but it feels like whoever wins this game is going to be put on a really high pedestal, and whoever loses this game is going to have much different expectations. That's the feel of it. And when talking to the fans of each team, it just has a weird feel about it that it normally doesn't have. I think last year it had a completely different feeling. Whoever wins this game, we're going to the national championship and win it. This year, it's kind of like we got to kind of win this game. So
it's a lot of nerves, man. There really is. I mean, I agree with you. If you're an Alabama fan or the Tide, it's a must win. You can't have your second loss before the last weekend of September. And so it is a must win. Georgia, I think that they're a little concerned, obviously, with what they saw on the defensive side of the ball at Neyland Stadium. They know that secondary will get better, but how much better and how soon? It is Kirby Smart over there. But then again, Kalen DeBoer has Ty Simpson looking like a much different player, as Jax just said, very much in rhythm, on time, going through progressions really well. And again, his scheme, I don't think it hurts Ty Simpson. He's going to get a lot better. And again, he has a wide receiver talent to do so. The running game at Alabama hasn't been great, but again, you mentioned JMO coming back. I like Alabama too, but then again, Gunnar Stockton went super gunner to end that game. But again, Alabama's got some different type of defensive cats than Tennessee has right now, and I think that ends up being the difference in that game. I don't think Gunnar is going to be able to beat that secondary repetitively the way that he did the Vols. But Trav, what you got, brother?
Yeah, I think Kalen DeBoer. I think his loudest supporters, even through week 1, were like, "Hey, look, Jalen Milroe. He never would have recruited Jalen Milroe. It's not his type of quarterback. Like Michael Penix is his type of quarterback. Ty Simpson is his type of quarterback. And now that he's got his groove, I think you really start to see, especially with Grubb back. I think you see Ty Simpson hit his launch pad, and I think you see him cut up the Georgia defense much like Tennessee did, right? Much like Joey Aguilar did. And I do have to give a quick thank you to the Georgia Bulldogs and the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies because while I was in Pennsylvania, Temple, we don't have sports gambling here online, but we do in Pennsylvania. So I took Miami money line and the over, Georgia money line and the over, which obviously overtime saved me, and A&M money line and the over. So that was a juicy parlay. So I was up late East Coast time rooting on your Aggies with every bone I had. So anyways, when it comes to Alabama, Georgia, Georgia, if Georgia wins this game, I don't think they lose another. Georgia Tech might be their toughest game left. They just get everything at home. And I know you're smiling, Court, about that, but
at home, like Texas has not played Georgia well. I mean, recently, and I don't think Texas is as good as they were last year. Now, you might say Georgia's not as good as they were last year, but Georgia at home, I think they're set up extremely well to take the top seed into the SEC championship game. But, man, that defense scared the crap out of me. And I know that Tennessee hit on some deep balls and took some risks, the things you have to do against Georgia. But I'm trusting Kalen DeBoer to right the ship because I feel like he's a really good coach. I feel like Alabama fans hate him for not being Saban, but they just need to get the hell over it because nobody's Saban. So I think DeBoer was the best coach on the market at the time for a reason. Bring him in. He's won everywhere. He's got the quarterback that he wants now, and I think Alabama pulls off the upset.
Yeah, I hate that we're all in agreement of this because now, I mean, well, I don't know. Last week we had the full panel sweep, or when Notre Dame hosted the Fighting Aggies and took that L on the chin. Everybody here said A&M money line was the move. I kind of feel like a punk, Travis, because you just parlayed everything that I bet separately. I didn't take all of those overs. I did take one of them, but I was like, man, I had a great weekend. I straight up just nailed all of those. And this man's over here parlayed all of it. I can't even imagine. I'll have to get that figure from you at a later date. But I just don't see it out of a gunner against that defense. Is Georgia able to run the football? I do love Nate Frazier, but I don't think that they've got him loose the way that they want to yet. And so, again, Georgia by November, Kirby's going to have that secondary playing a little bit more tight, but Ty Simpson looks really good, man. And, again, with the wide receivers that he has, hard not to like them. But, again, 32 consecutive home wins for the Georgia Dogs? Is that the number? Something pretty high. It might be off, but,
there.
I mean.
Yeah, they had to switch to a home win streak after they lost their other win streak, and then they tried to claim it was but regular season win streak. Now Oklahoma's got 47 postseason and regular season. It's never being broken. I'm sorry, but
No.
Georgia, it's a regular season record. Now shut up. It's not a home record either. No, it's just a total game record. Chill, dogs.
Yeah, that record will never get touched. For it to get touched, you're talking about a team going 3-0, 3 consecutive seasons, 16-0, in the modern climate with all these super conferences, if you will. Some are actually super conferences, some are not. But all right, gentlemen, I think that's about all. We covered the big game. I needed that reminder on Bama, Georgia. I'm so concerned with bye week that my mind slipped. The Bama, Georgia preview, we had to touch on that a little bit, but. Jax, thank you for being here again. Dr. Shin, #1 fan. Trav, thanks for hanging out. He was on screen in the beginning of the show. If you missed that,
Yep.
It's a nice
I'm waiting a
little
statement
ode.
from inside Texas trying to vacate the win.
Win and the appearance. But no, a nice little ode to the drama. The SEC officials. We were told that they were better than Big 12 officials. They're not that much better than Big 12
Well, when I had my
officials.
phone in my hand earlier, I dropped it, but it's not a fumble. I never had possession in the first place, so don't worry about it.
We're gonna
review, I never had possession.
I need to see that review, buddy. I don't know, lack of trust here, but just considering the source. But again, thanks for being here, guys. All of y'all watching, like the video if you haven't done so, and go subscribe to Inside Texas, man. Y'all go get that done, and have a good night. We'll see y'all next time.